Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I'm your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today, we are finally getting into Malifaux 4th Edition. We are starting with the Sandeep Desai, the Quiet Flame box. I guess we are foregoing the term core box now. We are just naming these boxes after the master and the title. So it is still the core box format. We have one master. They're both now having their title versions. So a master, the totem that comes with them, and some kind of named model, plus a minion of some kind. And I'm sure that will shuffle up, but that's sort of the core box format for the most part. So this box, 4th edition, we have Sandeep Desai, the Quiet Flame. That is our master, which we've got his lovely name down here, plus the other models included in the box. Banasuva, which is the totem. Kudra, which is this nice lady over here with the snakes. And hopefully these snakes are not going to fall off like her old version did. And then the Shastar Vidya guards, which are the minions that come in the box. And this is the academic keyword. So that is how we read the box. Oh, of course, this is Sandeep in the center here, looking very stoic and kind of scary. Alright, that is our artwork. Now let's look at the renders on the back. Very similar to our 3rd edition boxes. Have the renders plus the name of the model underneath them. These models are looking a lot fancier than their 2nd edition counterpart. I'm excited to put them together and see how they differ from 2nd edition, I guess. Alright. That is what we have. Let's go ahead and do our normal format. We'll start with Sandeep, then do the totem Banasuva, do Kudra, and then the 3 guards. Let's look at our sprue. We've got some pretty chunky sprues, and it looks like we have a new printer for Malifaux 4th edition, or at least a second printer. I have seen at least one sprue from a 4th edition box that is the old Thailand printer. This one appears to be from China. It's slightly different gray. They are the same kind of sprues, though. They look to be on the sprue just a little bit different than 3rd edition, so hopefully this will be even easier to clip out and assemble than 3rd edition. This is Banasuva. He's on his own sprue. Here we have, looks like Sandeep here, Kudra here, and one of our Shastar Vidya guards, and then the last 2 Shastar Vidya guards here. So let's grab our instructions for Sandeep and then go ahead and go over our assembly of him. Alright, Sandeep looks like he's actually going to be our easiest to assemble. I could be wrong, but we will grab his torso and coat first, then add the legs, followed by all the fun stuff he has on his belt. Then we can do his left arm, his right arm, and then his head. Yeah, that's it. Let's grab these 2 bits first. Alright, here's our torso. Now let's just add our legs right in there. They go together just fine. And you'll see, next bit is going to be all the stuff on his belt. We've got 3 key sort of connection points. This hole here and these 2 along the side. And those will correspond with right here, here, and here on the bit. Fits in nice and snug. No issues there. Next up, we're going to do his left arm, the one holding the gada, or the mace. And that's going to go right here on the shoulder socket. Okay, it does look like the staff of the gada touches the coat right there, so you could connect it there as well, just to make it a more solid connection point, but that seems to be fine. Alright, now let's do his other arm, the right arm. There's nice notches on both bits that will fit right underneath the collar, which is a good guide for how the arm is supposed to set. So no muss with either of them. Okay, now let's just add his head and be done with him. Nice. Turns out that hole is for his beard, and the head sits up higher, so you're going to need to put plastic cement on a bigger space than just that hole in his chest. But Sandeep is done. Let's put him on a base. Sandeep Desai, the Quiet Flame, is done. Very simple model. He looks great and stoic, and no real difficulty putting them together. The hardest part would probably be that left arm, just finagling that mace in there and getting the seam to be as closed as possible. And that's really it. Super simple. It looks good. Alright, let's move on to something really fancy. Banasuva is next. And we'll combine the two halves of the body first. Then we'll do both of his legs, followed by the lower arms, which are this one and this one. Then we'll go ahead and do his necklace and his head up here, followed by the upper arms, this one and this one. Then we'll finish by attaching him to this big ring of fire. And I think that's good. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at his instructions now, and then grab these two bits. Here's the back half of the torso. Now let's add the front half. Here they are combined. Lines look good. Alright. If I have a hard time remembering between right and left leg, this is our right leg, and this is our left leg. Let's do them in that order. Right leg goes in here. Alright, we're good. Now left leg in the other spot. It's a wide stance, my guy. Alright, next going to be our bottom arms. So we can go ahead and do our bottom right arm first. I'm just going to go right in there. That is going to be this one, and then our bottom left arm will be this guy. Okay, before and after. Seems to be fine. Let's go ahead and do our left arm. Seam looks good. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and do his necklace. Before we add the head, here's the necklace. The slightly wider end is where it's going to be effectively around his neck. So this will be the part that's dangling, or at least going down his chest. I saw some holes on around his neck that don't appear to have connection points here, but we should at least be able to cover those up with the necklace, the holes being right here. So let's go ahead and add that necklace so we cover up these holes. They actually are in fact there. It's just I thought I could spot them through the camera, and I cannot. The easiest one to see is right there, that nub in there. But those little connection points are there on the necklace. You just gotta really stare closely at them. So let's put them on the body now. That looks quite good. All right, remaining bits. Let's go over them and do our head, and then our upper right arm, the upper left hand, and then the big flame wheel. Let's go. Okie dokie, there's the head. He's got a wonderful mustache. Alright, now our upper right arm, please. It doesn't look like it, but there is actually like a ridge in there, so that will sit flat. Right, that you can kind of see where that ridge is if I point to it. So no worries. It wasn't like a full-on flat connection point where you just have to guess where it will sit. You'll be fine. I'm gonna guess that's the same for this guy. It kind of looks flat, but it's not. So let's add our left hand. Yep. So far, so good. Alright, our last bit, the big old flamey wheel thing, actually has connection points for the bottoms of his feet. You can see in there, nice pill-shaped connection point for both of them, and that will correspond to the nice pill-shaped connection points right there and right there on the outsides of his feet. Alright, now that the feet are locked into place, we can just put them on a base. Banasuva is completed. Boy, is this a fancy model. Seems to have lost some weight, but now he's not nearly lumpy. And he's got some pretty cool magical effects. Super easy to assemble. Hardest part was the necklace, I guess? Really kind of stretching for that. Pretty easy overall. I think this whole box is going to be fairly simple. Really excited to do the rest of them, but that's a big wheel of fire. No touchy. Alright, let's move on to the henchman, I think? I think Kudra is the henchman. Let me look at her card. Henchman, Kudra. Alright, next up is Kudra. We're going to go ahead and start with the two halves of her body, and then we'll attach the tactical rock to her one foot, and then the basket of snakes to her other foot, as well as the rock. Those two connect to each other. Then we can do her right hand, followed by her left hand slash snake attached to her hand, and finish off with her hair. Now let's look at the instructions and then grab the back half of the torso slash body, and then the front half of the torso slash body. One half of our body, add the other half now. Seam looks good. Alright, next we're going to grab the rock and put her foot on top of it. And the little slot on the bottom is going to be pointed towards this hole here, because it'll attach to the basket of snakes, which we'll do next. There it is on the bottom. Fits nice and snug. Okay, now we will do our snakes, which will go in here, and then the tab will go in here. Make sure you don't accidentally cut that tab off. This tab right here. Okay, snakes are in too. Again, nice and snug. Really enjoying these 4th edition models so far. Okay, next we're going to do her right arm, followed by half of her left hand and a snake, and then finish with her hair. Those bits being right arm there, hand and snake, and hair. Okay, this was a little confusing at first, but I got it figured out. One, it's probably good to try and match it to the render, but also there is a connection point on the body of the snake, which will connect to the, like, what she's wearing on her wrist, bangles, I think. So that is another solid connection point, because the elbow connection point doesn't really have a very obvious way it's supposed to connect. So connect there, and then glue those there, and you should be good. This is actually quite solid now. Alright, so now let's go ahead and do her hand snake situation. Okay, took a little fiddling. Make sure you don't scrape too much off of the base of that snake head, otherwise you might have a bit of a gap where it's supposed to attach to the body of the snake on her arm. Alright, that's good. Now let's attach her hair. And that it went nice and solidly, so. Okay, she's done. Put her on a base. Kudra is done. And goodness, if you ever assembled the 2nd edition version, I guess 3rd edition version too, you would know how much of an improvement this model is. She had some cobras that were in teeny tiny connection points, and I would be thoroughly impressed if they stayed on her wrists the entire time you've owned the model. She's so much better now, and I mean, it was kind of hard getting her arms on, but I mean, nothing nearly as difficult as her previous model, and if that's the hardest thing that you have to do in this box, I'd call it a really huge improvement. So, yep, left and right arm were kind of hard, but kind of being the emphasis there. She looks great. Let's move on to the minions. On to our minions. This is our first Shastar Vidya guard. Let's start by grabbing his torso, and then adding the knife that is on his belt. And then we can move on to the left leg, and then the right leg, followed by the right arm and then the head. We'll combine the two halves of the weapon together with the left arm, and then attach both of those together into the left shoulder socket as well. And then he'll be done. Seems pretty simple. Let's look at the instructions first, then grab these two bits. Okay. His body knife is going to go right here in this socket with the going to go right here in the socket with the handle going up this way and the blade going that way. There we go. Next we'll do the left leg, which is the extended leg. We'll go right there. Okay, might actually be easier to do the right leg first. Not entirely sure, but we'll go ahead and do that right leg now. Slide it on in there. Okay, it's trying to put it in there, pop the left leg out, so I do recommend putting the right leg in first. Okay, let's do the right arm now, the one not holding a weapon. Okay, right arm is in. Now let's add the head on the neck hole. Okay. That looks good. Now set him down. We have our arm with the weapon and the weapon magical effect. A nice little hole where this is going to fit into. So let's do that next. Okay. That's all good. Now we can just glue our arm into the shoulder socket, and it looks like he's probably holding onto the weapon with the right hand as well, so we might glue those together too. Oh yeah, that's nice. Alright. He's done. Put him on a base. Our first of the Shastar Vidya guard is done. We're going to name this guy Og. Let's see, the hardest part for him was the small dagger, I guess. Well, I guess if you want to count not knowing which leg to put in first, but it was easy enough to switch those around without any actual difficulty, so I'm not going to count that. I'd say the attaching the dagger is the hardest part, and that's it. Not much for difficulty, and he's very, very pretty. Let's move on. Okay, our next Shastar Vidya guard. We're going to grab the body, then we're going to add this little axe that goes on his belt, followed by this extra sash that sort of goes on his left front shoulder, and then we can do his right leg, his left leg, his right arm, his left arm, and then the head. Should be easy. Let's look at his instructions, then grab the body, followed by the axe and the sash. Alright, here is our torso. Our axe is going to be sitting right here. You can kind of see the shape of it. I was completely wrong on where it was supposed to sit, but you see where the sash, the belt, whatever, continues through the bit. So that's fine. Okay, next our sashi bit is going to connect right here and go down the chest. There we be. You can figure out which end is which because the end that we're connecting to has this tiny little notched cut out of it for this chest piece. I mean, also the part behind it is nice and smooth like a connection point, so dry fitting should be able to figure it out. Alright, let's do our right leg next. And that is, well, let's just look at the sprue. We'll do our right leg, and then our left leg. Then our right arm, left arm, and then the head. Okay? Okay. Right leg is in. Now let's just add our left leg right there. All good. Now the right arm wielding the trident. And you just need to rotate it and eventually the gap will fill, and that way you know it's right. You can also reference the instructions or the render to get the angle correct. Alright, now the left arm, which is not wielding a trident. Okay, left arm is good. Now let's just do his head. Alright, he's good. Let's put him on a base. our second Shastar Vidya guard is done. We're going to name him Pani. Yeah, hardest part was the axe on his belt, as well as the one little sashy bit. And that's really it. Another very simple model in a pretty simple box. Let's just keep going. That's all I've got to say. Okay, our last Shastar Vidya guard. We're going to grab the body, and again do the chest bits first. So this dagger, as well as this sash, which is on his upper front right shoulder. And we'll do the legs. We'll do his head after that, and then we can go ahead and do the right arm and the left arm. I think those are, yep, those are it. Okay, let's look at our instructions and then grab this bit, and this bit. Okay, here's the torso. The dagger's gonna fit right in there. Nice and snug. Okay, our sashy bit has kind of a hard to see connection point, and that will be right there. You can kind of see that jagged point, and that is going to attach to this end of our sash bit. You can see the same vague shape, so attach that now. Okay, sashy bit in. Now let's do the legs. Okay, it's got legs fitting in there nice and snug. Now let's do his head. There we go, he's looking to his left. And our last two bits. This is our right arm, notice the thumb placement, and this is our left arm, so we'll do them in that order. Before the right arm, after the right arm. Took me a while to figure out how that's supposed to go. That sort of chunk there is part of the sleeve, and really the only actual part of his arm that is visible is the bit, nothing on the actual body piece. If that makes sense. I might need to do a little bit of nudging of him, but that's good. Now let's add our left arm. And there we go. Make sure you put enough pressure down on it from the top. It'll squish it into place. Otherwise it will sag a bit and it won't look quite like the render. But yeah, you should be holding it effectively perpendicular to the ground. He's done. Put him on a base. Our third Shastar Vidya guard is done. We're going to call this one Hava. The hardest part for him was figuring out the left arm for me. Second, I guess, would be the scarf bit. But really, I'm just trying to search for a difficult part here. It was pretty easy. Like the rest of the box, I'm really impressed with how simple the whole thing was. Okay, let's look at the whole box. The Sandeep Desai, the Quiet Flame box, is done, containing Sandeep Desai, the Quiet Flame, Banasuva, Kudra, and 3 Shastar Vidya guards. A fairly simple box for what looked like very complicated models. I'm pretty impressed with how Weird seems to have improved for 4th edition already. Hardest parts for it really were Kudra's 2 arms and some of the smaller bits just because they're small. Overall, quite simple and very dynamic and pretty. I can't wait to paint these guys. Pretty excited. Excited for 4th edition overall. Yeah, that's all I have to say about him. So I've been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build better Malifaux. Have a good night.